turn to 2 Timothy. Second Timothy chapter 2. Timothy chapter 2. In the wake of the way everything's been going again, I just can't get it off my mind about what's happening today in America. I understand it's been happening for a long time, and we have been preaching against it for years, saying it's coming. I've preached against it for years, said it's coming, and it's came. And tonight I just want to preach about just what happened, why, and just some things that's happened, and the only way to get it back. It took a long time to happen. It's going to take a long time to get things back. You hear the question is, can there be revival in America and all that stuff? I don't even care about that. That's an opinion anyway. It's going to be an opinion on what someone has. Obviously, if everybody in America got on their knees the day that was saved and repented and started doing right, then yes, there would be. The question is everybody in America going to do something like that? That's where the discussion comes in at. I don't know. I don't know if everybody's going to do it or not. But I know this. This didn't happen overnight. It took a long time. And it's going to take a long time to get it fixed if it's going to get fixed. But I believe this. This is what I believe. I believe this world has hijacked our kids. And I believe that's where the world got us. And I understand that there's a lot of things that my kids growing up, they believed because I told them it's what was so. I said, look, this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. And they believed it because they were 6, 7, 8 years old. Now, when those children get up to be 10 years old, once they get up to be 15 years old, 18 years old, you know what they're going to be faced with? They're going to be faced with some different opinions. And they're going to be faced with some questions. And they've got to have answers. If they don't have answers, then those ideas and those thoughts that are in there, they begin to get into their mind, and they begin to say, what about that? What about that? I remember growing up in America here, as I was growing up in America, and the Bible wasn't taught in my home. As a matter of fact, I don't know of anybody, any of my friends, anybody where I stayed within my realm of life, that I ever remember getting the Bible out and reading the Bible. Ever. Ever. And when I began to look at that situation, I believe that was common growing up. I believe that, I don't know what generation that I was in, whether it was the baby boomer generation or the next one, Generation X, Generation Y, the millennials, whatever. But I know this. The so-called millennial generation right now, the millennials that are running this country, they've been kept away from any kind of ideology that we would have in a church. Not only kept away from it, but it was made fun of to where if they even thought of the question about there being a God, they'd be made fun of. And to where the point to where they got to where they's like, well, there is no God. I don't even believe in a God. And it's just everybody do right in their own eyes. Everybody do what they want to do. And they think that they are way better than what everybody else is in the world. They think they're smarter. They think they're more educated. They think they have it figured out. They think they finally got it figured out. Mom and Dad never did have a clue. They don't have a clue. Everybody that's old fogies that's living back in the horse and buggy days, all that stuff, that's what they think. But the fact is they're hypocrites. And that's not an overstatement. They're hypocrites. When you look at any of the stuff that's being written today, you take, there's this lady named Nancy Graham Holm. She writes for the Huffington Post. She just wrote a few months back, or maybe even this month, I don't know, a couple months back, she wrote an article. And this article is about fairness doctrine. And in this article, she's blasting Ronald Reagan and all that stuff. We got rid of it back in 1987. The fairness doctrine is this. What the fairness doctrine was is that if the news media is covering an issue and they've got it. If they're pro-conservative, they have to be showing the other side of it. And if they're pro-liberal, then they've got to be showing this, and they've got to show the other side of it. That was a fairness doctrine. And they said that way, then you get to see both sides of it. One person don't rant and rave. You know what? You know what they're saying? It's fairness doctrine. Everybody should be allowed to say what they want to say. And that's what she said. That was the gist of her article there. And it's actually 2014. And during this article here, what she says is, in 1987, when that got taken away, that there was a man in Sacramento that once that was taken away, he could just get on the radio and start ranting and raving and all that stuff. And his name was Rush Limbaugh. And so she goes through here and she says, now listen, what I'm talking about is, I'm talking about being a hypocrite. Here's what she says. Rush Limbaugh, in this yesterday or whenever she's getting ready to say this, doing this article, she said Rush Limbaugh attacked an all-female newscast, calling it stupid, ignorant, and wrong. Now, I have no idea what they said. She didn't say what they said. She didn't say whether they were stupid, ignorant, or wrong. She didn't show what they were saying, what they wasn't saying. The point is, she was saying, here's what she was saying. It was women, so he shouldn't have said nothing. That's her point. Now, that's what she's making. Now, here's what she goes on to say. Then she says that Rush Limbaugh is ignorant and wrong. That's a hypocrite.
Amen.
If you're all about love, you're all about compassion, you're all about seeing everybody else's side, then when you're dogging somebody out for calling somebody ignorant and stupid, then you can't turn around and say somebody's ignorant and stupid. That's called being a hypocrite. That's what that's called. And it's all through, that's through a national newspaper. And then she goes on to say this about Rush Limbaugh. She said that although he's ignorant and wrong, he's not stupid. He's actually smart, but he's wasted his intelligence because he was a college dropout. That's what she says. Now here's what they say. You don't need to be judgmental. Don't be judging people.
Yeah.
Don't be stereotyping people. What's she doing? She's stereotyping Rush Limbaugh, saying he's a college dropout, and she goes through and says he's not been able to look at this, he ain't read this, he ain't done this, she names all these things, and she's dogging out Rush Limbaugh all the time, hiding behind the facade of saying, I just love everybody. I just think we should all get along. This is about fairness doctrine. And she's sitting there just dogging out, talking about attacking, and then you know what happens after that this year? After she's sitting here saying everybody should be able to have their say, you shouldn't just have one and not have the other. You know what the Huffington Post just came out and said? This is their article talking about everybody having to say, being able to say something. They just come out and said, we're not going to show any political coverage on Donald Trump. Why? Because you're fair? It's the same publication.
Yeah.
You see, what is it? The liberal people are a bunch of hypocrites.
Amen.
And the problem is we've been beaten down and browbeaten, cowered down. People saying you don't have no compassion, you're not kind, you're not courteous like we are. And for years, Christians realizing that we are but clay, and there's times that we're not courteous, there's times that we're not kind, there's times that we are not what we're supposed to be. We realize, you know what? There are times that we are messing up. And so when they sit there and they point those fingers at us, you know what we do? We cower down and say, well, that's true. That's right. You know what you get? You get people that'll come into church and they'll start looking at people in church and say, well, I thought he was better than that. Well, I thought she was better than that. Well, I thought that woman right there hung the moon. Look at these people. You know what you find out? You find out that people are people. They're trying to do the best they can. But when you look at the liberal news media and you look at that side, they never do anything wrong. They're never wrong. Anything that you point out, they jump sides, they go somewhere. You say, what are they? They're a bunch of hypocrites. Let me tell you what happened. Trayvon Martin dies. Obama has a press conference. Immediately, he says, this could have been my son. This could have been my son. Then you have the Michael Brown shooting out there in, beside St. Louis, out in Missouri, Ferguson. What happens there? I'll tell you what happened. You got a big bully 18-year-old kid that's never been told no for anything, and he tries to take a weapon away from a cop and he gets shot and killed.
Amen.
And Obama immediately has a press conference. He immediately has a press conference, and he says his family is never going to be able to hold him in their arms again. Then you have this thing with this Freddie Gray incident up there in Baltimore. Immediately, there's a press conference. He says, this has been going on for a long time. This is not new. We shouldn't pretend that this stuff is new. And then a woman gets killed by an illegal immigrant. Mm-hmm. Murdered. Yeah. 5 times. Being deported. And brought back in. All that stuff. They've been let go 5 different times for criminal actions. And a place out there in San Francisco where the public's out there all the time, she gets shot and killed by an illegal immigrant, breaking all kinds of gun laws. Yeah. You hear this? Yeah. That's what he did. He's not said a word. Amen. You say, because he's a hypocrite. Amen. That's why he's a hypocrite. And you know what? We sit here and they constantly say, you're a hypocrite, you're a hypocrite, you're a hypocrite. We're so much, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of those stupid, that Dr. Seuss thing on growing up, Sneetches on the beaches. You ever remember that cartoon? Here they are, these stars. We're the best Sneetches on the beaches. We have a star upon ours. And they go through this whole deal here, and they just want to be different because they think they're better than the other ones. That's what they think. They think they're the best Sneetches on the beach. Let me tell you something. Liberal people, you're still a Sneetch, just like we are. We all got problems. The problem is they want to beat you down and make you feel like you're wrong. That's what they're doing to our children. They're hijacking our children. Why? Because they don't have any answers. They don't have any answers. You know what they need to do? Our children need to be standing up. They need to be standing up for what's right. They need to be standing up for what's going on. They say, listen, we're going to do some political stuff for Donald Trump, but we're going to put him over there in the section there where you got the Kardashians, and they say this ain't nothing but a joke. That's a little judgmental, don't you think? Yeah. Don't you think that's a little judgmental toward the Kardashians? That's a little judgmental to them. I bet they didn't appreciate that. Or gender blender, Bruce, I bet he didn't appreciate that either. Then on the side of this Huffington Post, here's what it says. Here it says, suggested articles you need to read in the Huffington Post. Here's what they are. This is how bright. They're talking about him being a joke. Here's the things you need to read. Miss USA knew her gown would be polarizing. The next one, white millennials explain what it means to be white in America. The single biggest barrier to sexual satisfaction. That's what these are suggested readings. Jennifer Lawrence turns heads at Comic-Con in blue slit dress. Well, they're so much more educated than Donald Trump. And then this one, I stopped it here because the rest of them is too X-ray to say, but this is the article, The Problem with Fat Lesbians. That's the article. Just telling you what I said on the Huffington Post. The problem with fat lesbians is they're lesbians. Now, I wrote that article real quick. Now, here's what they're going to do. They're going to lie about you. You know what they say? They say, you are hypocrites. Jesus was, he preached love, and you know what else? You know, they said, all you Christians are all about condemning people. And Jesus was all about, he wants to come in here and he wants to condemn everybody. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie from the liberal news. You know what Jesus Christ said? John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And then it says in John 3:17, for God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world. He didn't come to condemn the world. They're liars. Amen. He came to save the world. And you know what we do? We preach the gospel of Jesus Christ so people can get saved. We don't stand here and say we're better than everybody else. You know what we say? We say Jesus Christ said it's wrong to be a homosexual. Amen. And it's the truth, whether we're judging them or not. Amen. It's the truth. And the problem is with the liberals are they're hypocrites. And you know what our children should have been hearing for the last 50 years? This right here. Amen. And what we need to be hearing, I can remember growing up, I didn't have a clue. You know what? What's happened is they've hijacked the young people to where now the young people are grown up and they think they've got it all figured out. Yeah, that's right. How did they do it? How did they hijack us? You know, you look at this, they start saying you can't, everybody just got their own idea about what's right. Everybody just needs to do what's right in their own eyes. So your place in 2 Timothy, look over Romans. Go to Romans chapter 13. Romans chapter 13. Romans chapter 13, verse 1, the Bible says this, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God, the powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. You know what he's saying right there? He's saying you need the law. You know what you need? You need laws. You need policemen. You need people that's going to take care of you. Gary Sexton was talking to me last week, and he said this. He said, when I start government class, he said, laws are not about restricting you. He said, laws are about giving you freedom. If there's no law, he said, ladies can't even go to Walmart without getting raped. You can't go out on the street without getting your money just taken from you. If there's no law, people's not going to if there's not going to be somebody that's going to be able to execute judgment and say, look, this is right, this is wrong, you're going to go to jail. Go to some of these countries where there's no law and you see what happens. You know what they're saying? Everybody just needs to do what they feel what's right. If it feels good, they